Humans are kind of funny. They always plan for things and then they don't really do much about that plan. Let me explain. Oh, that's wet. Okay, actually that was totally unplanned. I didn't think that through. The bench was wet. Of course it's wet. It's totally foggy and rainy out here. And I just sat on a wet bench. But it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because I think there's a challenge with what we try to learn and what we're trying to figure out. And we make all these plans and then we don't follow our plans sometimes, and that makes a problem. So I learned a lot about dealing with disaster and how to follow your plans in a unique way. And it all started when my school caught on fire. I was in jazz band at the time. We were practicing for some concert or another, and as we were going along, suddenly the lights went out. Boom. Total power outage. Thought, okay, this happens sometimes. So we waited for a little while. There was enough daylight to keep playing. And then the fire alarm went off. We did what we have been trained to do since elementary school. All of the students stood up. We walked to the door, and as we were walking to the door, our teacher said, wait. There's no fire drill today. You don't need to get up yet. And the teacher said, I'll go see what's happening. You stay put. So we listened. I mean, he was the teacher. Who's to say he was wrong? He's probably done this before. So we waited for a few minutes, and then I looked out the window and I saw smoke rising up into the air from a massive fire. And at that point I decided, why are we sitting here? We can see a fire. There's a fire alarm going off. We should probably get out of the building. So we did. I stood up, I led the way, and everyone else just followed along. All of this is to say that sometimes we do things over and over and over, and it becomes so routine that we almost think it'll never happen. Ever since I can remember in elementary school, we did at least 1, maybe 2 fire drills a year. And we would all dutifully line up, go outside, the teachers would count us. And we even did this in high school, like my sophomore year. It was just a part of what we did. It's an American tradition. Do a fire drill. But while we're doing that fire drill, no one ever thought that we'd ever run into a real fire. We had gotten so used to this drill and so used to this idea that when the real fire came, no one got up to leave, or we listened to the teacher who said, this isn't normal, just stay put. Now, the truly wild part about this whole story is that exact same experience happened in almost every room in the high school. My wife, who went to the same high school as I did, remembers being in French and the same thing happened. The fire alarm went off, the students stood up, and they started to leave, and the teacher said, wait, there's no drill today. Wait in your seats, let's go see what's going on. Can you imagine what would have happened if it was a much bigger fire and the teacher had said, just stay put? I think the challenge here is that when we don't plan for a drill and when the real problem comes up, sometimes our brain goes to, well, this can't be real. It must be a joke. Maybe someone just pulled the alarm and we all are gonna get up and leave, and we don't wanna leave if it's just a false alarm. You plan for problems, and when you see a problem arise, even if you don't see smoke immediately, just work on the problem as you planned, because it could be a bigger problem. And if it's a false alarm, that's okay. That'll get solved later. You'll figure it out real quick. In the case of the school, if it had been a false alarm, we would have been standing outside, but it wouldn't have disrupted class any less than it already had. But the reality is, it wasn't a false alarm, and we could have been in a lot of trouble. I think the solution here is pretty simple. The school should never tell teachers when it was a false alarm or not. They shouldn't tell them if it's going to be a drill. They should just treat it like it's real every single time. Because then the teachers wouldn't have in their mind that fire drills are when the fire alarm goes off. They would have it in their mind, just like the students. When the fire alarm goes off, you stand up, you walk out in an orderly fashion, and you count the students to make sure everyone's okay. So the moral of this story, if you want to pull one out, is this. Plan for disaster. Practice your plan. Look at things, make sure it's going to work or not. But in the end, you need to practice in ways that both are expected and unexpected, and be prepared to question things around you when it doesn't seem right. If the initial plan is what you always rehearse and you never have to deal with improvising, or you never have to sit and think, well, what if something different happens, then you'll kind of get stuck in this routine and think, I can't get out of this problem because it's not the way I practiced it. So prepare as best you can, but also be ready to handle the unexpected. By doing all those things, you'll become a much more resilient and flexible person, and it will really help you when you come into the real world and things aren't scheduled or planned. They just kind of hit you in the face sometimes. I hope that helps. I hope you're having a good morning. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you.